Hi, everyone, and welcome to climatetrace.org, where you can find timely, granular, and independently tracked greenhouse gas emissions data covering the entire globe. I'll be sharing an introduction to the ClimateTrace platform and a quick overview of how to navigate the site. ClimateTrace's expanded database now tracks annual greenhouse gas emissions from hundreds of millions of assets from 2021 onwards. These assets represent individual sources of emissions, like power plants, cargo ships, or oil and gas fields. ClimateTrace releases monthly emissions data on an ongoing basis, with a lag time of about 2 months. For example, monthly data released at the end of March of a given year would include emissions estimates through January of that year. In addition to individual emitting sources, you can also view emissions totals on the platform by emitting sector or based on geography. This includes city-level data for about 9,000 of the world's largest cities, plus county, state, and country-level emissions data. Our inventory shares greenhouse gas emissions data measured in CO2 equivalent, or CO2e, as well as three individual gases: carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide. You can view emissions data based on 100 or 20-year global warming potential. We also estimate non-greenhouse gas air pollutants like sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxides, ozone, and particulate matter down to the source level. In addition to interacting with the data on our website, you can visit the Data Downloads page to access our full inventory and our methodology documentation. All of these data are open access under a Creative Commons license. You can read our terms of use at the bottom of the homepage to know more. Now let's take a look at a few of the different options for viewing the data. From the homepage, you can click on Track Global Emissions in the drop-down menu at the top left of your screen. The default view shows emissions assets from all sectors across all geographies for the most recent calendar year for which we have complete data. On the map, you can view data going back to 2021, but we also have data available from 2015 onwards at the country level, which can either be viewed on the country inventory page or downloaded from our downloads page. Total emissions measured in billions of tons of CO2e appear at the bottom left corner of the emissions map and will automatically update as you make selections using the toolbar. From here, you can type a country, region, or city into the search bar, or zoom in and out using the plus and minus buttons at the bottom of the screen and manually click and drag around the screen. Note that a city may reflect a broader urban area, including portions outside the city's political boundaries from where residents commute to the city. Dots represent emission sources that are human-made facilities, like refineries, power plants, or airports. Gradient green and pink pixels represent emissions from area sources, like forests, farms, and buildings, and yellow lines represent emissions from road transportation. Emissions from individual road segments are aggregated up to the county or district level administrative area. Clicking on a dot will load a card, providing additional details about that emission source. First, you can view month-to-month or annual emissions trends. Next, you can view emissions by greenhouse gas and non-greenhouse gas air emissions. You can then view data confidence and finally the metadata for the source, like the capacity or amount of production happening there. You can also download emissions data for an individual emissions source here. If you spot any errors, you can use the Share Feedback button to contact us about the error along with any supporting documentation. Shaded areas represent an administrative area up to which many assets can be aggregated and represented with a single emissions tool. You can click on the More Details button to view the top emitting sources within the shaded area. Note that area sources like forests and road transport are all aggregated up to the administrative area level. The toolbar at the top of the page is the primary method for searching and filtering the data visualized in the map. You can filter your view by location, owner, or emission source name, all of which can be entered into the search bar. You can also filter your view by country groupings and view their combined emissions, such as the OECD or the European Union. You can also filter by sector, year, greenhouse gas, or by global warming potential, or GWP. You can also click more details in the bottom left corner to reveal more information about your search from the map. Here, you will find a breakdown of all sector and asset emissions and emissions over time for your selection. More detailed instructions for using this map can be found by clicking How to Use in the bottom right corner of this page. You can also rank and compare emissions data from different assets, regions, sectors, or years to one another with our Compare tool. Just click Comparison Tool in the drop-down menu. You can use filters on each side of the screen to view two different sets of data side by side, for instance, to compare different regions, sectors, or timeframes. In addition to an emissions total at the top of each list, you'll also see emitting assets from that category ranked from largest to smallest in each list. Additional metadata, like capacity and emissions factors, are available on our Downloads page. The emissions total at the top of each list will adjust based on how many asset cards you select at once. This comparison tool is easy to use and hopefully fairly intuitive. Now let's head over to the country inventory page. This page offers a simple way to sort through our data aggregated to the country and sector levels. The filter options at the top of the page are fairly self-explanatory, and for the most part, they mirror most of the filter options we saw on the emissions map. You can search by major sectors and subsectors, country or continent name, global warming potential, called time horizon here, date range, and by type of greenhouse gas. This emissions total number will recalibrate as you make changes to your selections. If you scroll down, you'll also see the option to explore the emissions data by sector. Plus, you'll find unique trend information in automatically generated infographics. You can also download your selection as a CSV or a JSON file. Next, let's look at the Data Downloads page. Just click the drop-down menu and go to Data Downloads. Once you're ready to export data, you can download data by the gas or pollutant of interest, and either by sector or country. Click the CSV button under the data column for the sector you're interested in to start the download. Just be advised that these CSV files can be large, especially for sectors like agriculture, buildings, forestry and land use, and transportation. CSV files include annual country-level emissions by subsector and gas from 2015 onwards, and monthly source-level emissions by gas and for most subsectors from 2021 onwards. These files also include confidence and ownership data where available. For any questions about how sector data is gathered and assessed, you can download your desired methodology document by clicking the PDF button in the methodology column. If we look back at the top of the page, you can also toggle over to a country view and download emissions data for a country overall. This will give you country-level totals broken down by sector and subsector, as well as data on individual assets in that country, all on a monthly scale. Once you download a dataset, a survey form pops up. If you'd like to share some quick feedback on how you're using our platform and how you're planning to use our data, we always love to hear from our users. You can also scroll to the bottom of most pages for the survey link. Before we wrap up, let's quickly look at a couple more resources that can be found on the Climate Trace website. Under the drop-down menu, you'll find an approach page, which gives a high-level explanation of what we do and how we do it. Listed under the approach section in the drop-down menu is also the sectors page, where you'll see a list of all the different emissions sectors we provide data for and their methodology. Here, you can find quick explanations of what each sector covers and summaries of our methodology for each sector, plus links to lengthier methodology documents to download. For more information on Climate Trace data in action, check out the Case Studies page. Here, you can read examples of some of the most impactful use cases for leveraging Climate Trace data. We encourage you to check out the rest of the site, like our News and Insights page. We are constantly adding to our blog, which includes helpful explainers and team member interviews. You can also find press releases and news coverage here. Another resource for common questions can be found on our FAQ page, which we are regularly adding to and updating. And finally, we hope you'll take a minute to subscribe to our newsletter for monthly updates on our work. You can also do that at the bottom of most pages on our website. Thank you all for taking the time to learn a little bit about the Climate Trace platform today. We encourage you to take a look at the other content posted on our YouTube channel. And as a reminder, please feel free to visit our FAQ page for further questions. To contact our team, just go to www.climatetrace.org/contact. And for media inquiries, you can email media@climatetrace.org.